Hey, what's up guys? Tyler here with Secure Team. Well, if you thought that the men in black snatched me up, I'm here to tell you that everything's fine, but I did decide to take a couple of days off in order to spend some time with my family, spend some time to myself, but also to catch up on the many of the hundreds of emails people are sending me, reviewing footage that will be featured in future videos, and really just kind of take a couple days off and just relax. Now, you might ask, what is it that Tyler did to relax? Well, let's just go ahead and have a look.
You wanna come back to finish? You better.
Alright, so on one of my days off, I had mentioned to my wife, who has never even been around guns, that it might have been cool to head over to the local gun range and maybe release a little stress. So that's exactly what we did, and we had a really fun time. It never hurts to have a little fun, step out of your comfort zone, and see how it all works. I guarantee you, you will have fun, whether you're a gun person or not. But now I'm back, and in today's video, we're going to go ahead and catch up on some of the stories that have been coming out over the past couple of days. The first of which was a new discovery by scientists who have been studying these very mysterious radio signals that have been emanating from outer space and have really puzzled the researchers that have detected them over the past decade or so. So these things are called fast radio bursts, or FRBs. And in previous videos, we've sort of gone down a list of the most prolific and famous radio signals from space that we've detected that haven't been explained and hold a very good likelihood to come from some sort of extraterrestrial source. Now, of all of these so-called FRBs, or fast radio bursts, we've detected about 18 of them. And mind you, these are extremely powerful. And for the first time, one of these cosmic radio bursts has actually been tracked down to its host galaxy. And they found that this puzzling FRB, which they had originally thought to have come somewhere from in our own galaxy, had actually come from a dwarf galaxy over 3 billion light years away. So it's basically one of the farthest places out in space that you can pretty much imagine. And they found that this mysterious radio burst had come from not only a galaxy 3 billion light years away, but it's a tiny galaxy, or what is known as a dwarf galaxy. And it's less than 1,000 times the mass of our own galaxy here in the Milky Way. Researchers were quoted as saying that this was absolutely surprising that such an event could be happening in such a very tiny galaxy. You're seeing an image here from which this FRB originated. Now, as I said earlier, before this dwarf galaxy was determined as the originating point of the FRB, the researchers thought that it came from a location closer to the Milky Way, instead finding out that it was on the, quote, edge of the universe. The FRB was first observed in 2012 and has repeated its bursts numerous times. And now, having found out where it originated has allowed scientists to go one step closer to understanding what is emitting these radio bursts. They still have no idea. Of course, there are many theories, like it could be a neutron star, which is the dense core of a dead star that's gone supernova. But there is also the possibility that these FRBs could originate from some sort of extraterrestrial communication, not necessarily trying to communicate with us, but possibly something that they sent out and we happen to pick up. Another thing to note here, when you have radio bursts and you actually find that some of them are repeating over and over throughout the years, that pushes us just a little bit closer to the possibility of it being intentional and not from just some random star that has recently died. Now, another piece of very interesting breaking news our good friends over at NASA have released a report in which stating that they have discovered gigantic ice towers on the planet Pluto. And when they say ice towers, they definitely mean it, because these things, from what they have been able to detect, are standing upwards of 500 to 1,000 meters tall. So this new evidence comes courtesy of the New Horizons space probe, which took almost a decade to make its way through the solar system, culminating in 2015's historic Pluto flyby, where after arriving, it discovered these stunning towers of ice reaching 500 meters or more into the sky. Now, this is the first time that such a phenomenon has been found anywhere in the solar system other than Earth. And with their analysis, they have also identified the atmospheric process that has caused these giant ice towers to form. So if you were to look on Earth, we have these ridges that are called penitents, which can be found at high altitudes here on Earth, taking the shape of towers or blades of hardened snow or ice, which are all angled together, as you're seeing in this image here, in the general direction of the sun. The difference here is that the ones you'll find on Earth reach up to around 5 meters in height, or around 16 feet, which is nothing compared to what they've found on Pluto. Now, just to give you an idea of how tall 500 meters is, the World Trade Center towers were about 417 meters high. The skyscraper you're seeing here, called the Taipei 101, is right around 500 meters high, and it's found in Taiwan. So this is how massive these so-called towers of ice are. I mean, of course, we have to take NASA's word for it, but whether they're created of ice or not, to have something on what's basically an alien planet that is taller than the tallest skyscrapers that we once had in New York, the World Trade Centers, I mean, that is simply amazing just to think about, just to think of if you were standing at the bottom of one of these things. And I definitely think that we should try to get some close-up pictures of these things, because for one, I want to know for sure if these things are made of ice. Because if you followed this channel, you'll know how many more of these so-called towers that we have found on our own moon, which in some cases we've been able to see through film or photographic footage, other times have been airbrushed out by NASA. And we've also had testimony from former NASA image techs who have, on the record and in lieu of a congressional hearing, have admitted that these towers and these structures do exist on the moon. So, who's to say that these towers wouldn't exist in other places in our solar system? So it's a very intriguing news story that we're going to follow, and we'll just see how NASA wants to go forward with this, and if they eventually will release some photographic evidence, hopefully undoctored. Let's see, did you guys know that an asteroid the size of about a 10-story building came incredibly close to the Earth this past week? Well, some of you may have heard about this, but I'm willing to bet most of you hadn't, and that is likely because NASA didn't even see it coming. Researchers at the University of Arizona's Catalina Sky Survey recently revealed this information, that this asteroid passed by Earth without incident at about 100,000 miles from us. So just to put that into perspective, the moon is about 250,000 miles from us. So this thing was a lot closer than we thought, but it just goes to show how close these things are getting to us, where they're not just millions of miles away, but are now coming within hundreds, if not tens of thousands of miles, and it speaks to the bigger issue that NASA does not see most of these things coming. But you know what, I guess that's good news, because if we were to get hit and have our Earth destroyed in front of our eyes, wouldn't you rather not see it coming? I mean, if it's gonna happen, let it happen, but don't tell me about it. Ignorance truly is bliss in certain situations. Now lastly, speaking of the end of the world, some religious groups are now predicting the apocalypse this week as planet Venus lines up with the wolf moon. A new Express article states that Christians around the world are linking recent astronomical phenomenon to the end of the world, which they believe could happen this week. It goes on to say that the evening of January 12th will see the first full moon of the year, also known as the wolf moon, and Venus will be at its brightest for the first time in 8 years. This, combined with the fact that they fall on the eve of the first Friday the 13th of the year, has led some to believe that the end is nigh. Many people are pointing to the Bible's Luke chapter 21 verse 25, which reads, quote, "And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring." The full moon and Venus, which will look like an exceptionally bright star, could be interpreted as signs in the moon and stars. And with Donald Trump's inauguration little more than a week away and heightened tension between nations around the globe, could be the distress of nations. One person wrote on Facebook, "We need to be ready at all times because we are practically close to the end of days." So I guess people are believing that, well, I guess starting today and moving on through the rest of January, I'm guessing. Maybe, I guess some people are saying the 13th, 14th, or 15th could just be the apocalypse. But you know what? I'm not really a religious person, so you guys are going to have to fill me in on what you think. Now, I'm not dogging religion here, and I'm not necessarily saying that if you're a Christian, you believe that the world's about to end. However, it's just another interesting story, and yet another week where the world is supposed to end. And why do I feel like a week or two from now, I'm going to be sitting here reading you yet another end of the world prediction that has once again been pushed back to a later date? So, we have gone down the list of some of the major news stories that I missed over the past couple of days. Always something interesting happening. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and be sure to stay tuned, because I've got another video coming that'll be up in a few hours, and we're going to show you something very fascinating that has come to our attention. So hit that like and subscribe button, share this video on your way out, I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys back here in just a bit. Stay safe.